Theresa May took Emmanuel Macron for a pub lunch today as they tried to thrash out their differences at a UK-France summit. The leaders were spotted at the Royal Oak in the PM's Maidenhead constituency before kicking off the formal meeting at Sandhurst Military Academy this afternoon. But there was little chance of Mr. Macron having to make do with a bog-standard burger and chips, as the pub has a Michelin star and meals are prepared by last year's MasterChef, The Professionals winner. The French president is thought to be demanding more money to boost the Calais economy, despite Britain already bowing to requests for a £45 million contribution to stop migrants sneaking across the Channel. They could also have difficult exchanges over Brexit, amid fears Mr. Macron will block an early agreement on a transition deal in a bid to exploit business anxiety and poach jobs. The flashpoints risk overshadowing the summit, which both leaders hope will underline the commitment to close cooperation between the countries. A military band struck up French national anthem La Marseillaise as they arrived at Sandhurst this afternoon before starting talks. Under the Le Touquet deal signed in 2003, border controls were located on the French side of the Channel in a bid to get rid of migrant camps like the jungle. Mr. Macron posted a video on his Twitter account of him walking into the pub with Mrs. May, shaking hands with her team and chatting to staff. Chef Craig Johnson won the prestigious BBC show last year. Dishes on the menu include roast partridge, foie gras and leg bonbon, celeriac puree and Savoy cabbage for £27. Critics claim the Prime Minister has been forced to stump up even more money for the defences after French threats to tear up the border agreement. UK taxpayers will foot the bill for extra measures to target stowaways using cross-channel lorries, trains and ferries. In what is being seen as a sweetener to ease the deal, the French have offered Britain the loan of the Bayeux Tapestry. But even that prospect is in doubt after the mayor of the Normandy town, where the artwork is currently on display, imposed a series of conditions. He suggested that he might oppose the loan or ask Britain to cover the cost of restoring the 11th century tapestry. Mr. Macron has vowed to stop Calais being a backdoor to Britain as long the UK stumps up more cash. The £45 million will pay for security fencing, carbon dioxide detectors, heartbeat monitors and scanners to find stowaways. Britain has already spent around £167 million over the past 4 years on security at Calais and other ports along the Channel. Under juxtaposed controls, the UK's border is effectively on French soil. But according to The Times, Mr. Macron is also seeking wider funds to boost the economy of Calais, saying it has been hit by the migrant issues. Mrs. May is said to be resisting the pressure. The UK ambassador to France Ed Llewellyn did not deny the tensions this morning, but suggested the financial package would only cover security. Obviously, the most important thing about the economy for Calais is that the migrant camps remain under control, he told BBC Radio 4's Today programme. Government officials have dismissed the idea of handing over such funding as politically unsaleable. Official figures in 2015 showed that one migrant was caught trying to sneak into the UK every 6 minutes, 84,000 in all. That fell to 30,000 last year, a mark of the success of additional security, said the Home Office. Charlie Elphicke, Tory MP for Dover, said, "People will rightly ask why we are handing yet more money to France. That's now nearly £170 million we've paid over the last few years. It is time we put the UK border first and invested in the Dover frontline. Christopher Chope, a Conservative member of the Commons Home Affairs Committee, said, "We keep handing over money for security and France keeps coming back for more. Enough is enough. They keep holding us to ransom. It has been suggested that this is a price we need to pay for a trade deal with the EU, but it certainly raises a lot of questions." Former Cabinet Minister John Redwood also said it was an unfortunate truth that the Bayeux Tapestry showed England being invaded. Mr. Macron comes with a rare gift, a loan, the Bayeux Tapestry, to the UK. While I'm sure the offer is well meant, I will pass over the unfortunate truth that it depicts an invading French army killing England's king and many in his army before taking over the government of our kingdom, he tweeted. Some French politicians have called for the border deal to be scrapped in the wake of Brexit, potentially allowing thousands of migrants to reach the shores of Kent. A government spokesman said, "This is about investing in and enhancing the security of the UK border. Just as we invest in our borders around the rest of the UK, it is only right that we constantly monitor whether there is more we can be doing at the UK border controls in France and Belgium to ensure they are as secure as possible." In 2015, Britain gave £12 million to the French to enhance security measures, including a 9-foot fence. Huge stretches were erected on the approaches to both the Eurotunnel terminal and the ferry port. A year later, the government handed over another £17 million, including £1.9 million for the Great Wall of Calais around the port. Another £36 million was announced a few months later. Mrs May hopes to get a 2-year transition deal signed off at an EU summit in March, so negotiations can swiftly move on to a future trade deal. But Paris is said to be maneuvering behind the scenes to keep the pressure on the Brits as it wants to swoop in and lure businesses away to Paris. It comes as Emmanuel Macron travels to Sandhurst today to hold talks with Mrs May in his first official trip since moving into the Élysée Palace. The French president has openly said he wants to use Britain's looming departure from the bloc to lure lucrative financial services away from London. Britain's former ambassador to France, Lord Ricketts, said last night, when it comes to French interests, economic interest, in the Brexit negotiations, he will be hard-headed and he will push for a tough outcome. He added, of course, where there's an opportunity of draining jobs from the UK and into France, they will be taking it. Mrs May will use today's summit to announce greater cross-security cooperation. She said, "Our friendship has always gone far beyond defense and security, and the scope of today's discussions represents its broad and unique nature." While this summit takes place, the UK prepares to leave the EU. This does not mean that the UK is leaving Europe. But it seemed nobody asked the mayor of Bayeux, who has said none, unless certain conditions are met. Officials insisted the masterpiece would not cross the channel before 2023, that it would stay only a matter of months, and that it would happen in winter, when fewer tourists visit Bayeux. In a statement by the Bayeux Museum, where the 11th century tapestry is on permanent display, Mayor Patrick Gaumont said, "The most important thing is the conservation of the work. The town, the services of the state, are open to the loan, but on certain conditions." Mr. Gaumont also hinted that the UK should contribute to its upkeep, telling a press conference, "The tapestry was weaved in England. It would be incredible for it to be restored in the land where it was created." The mayor said he was speaking about the plans in the conditional tense and that there were still lots of hypotheses that need to be answered. Asked if the town of Bayeux could block the move to lend the work, he said, "We can oppose it." Mr. Gaumont added in an interview with local media, "Our British friends really want it, we are not opposed, but all of the conditions still need to be defined." But French historian Eric Anso tweeted about the tapestry yesterday, "Aside from its great fragility, it is all very regrettable after Brexit." Under an agreement signed last year, the town of Bayeux and the region of Normandy are responsible for the tapestry's upkeep and restoration, not France's central government, and they have the right to block the move. A poll by local website Ouest France Bayeux yesterday on Facebook showed that 85% were against the tapestry moving to Britain. The British Museum, in central London, is regarded as the favourite to host the masterpiece if it comes to Britain. Mrs. May will discuss the loan when she meets the French president today. Details also emerged yesterday of the complex operation in moving the artwork. French historian Pierre Bouet, who helped to move the fragile tapestry last January, told website Ouest France, "There were around 60 of us, and we slid it along a stand centimeter by centimeter. It's an extremely delicate operation." Alexandra Mackin, who specializes in early medieval embroidery, said, "You can move it if it's got specially constructed containers, and curators on both sides of the channel will be looking to see if it's viable to do that." A spokesman for Mr. Macron's office said, "This loan is under consideration because there will be several months of restoration work at the Museum of Bayeux." Antoine Verny, director of the Bayeux Museum, insisted nothing is set in stone and that the feasibility of the loan would be explored in the coming years.